Hey, church. In August of 2019, I was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer, which had spread to my liver, and the situation did not look hopeful. So, a few weeks ago, when Pastor Stefan asked if we'd give a testimony in the middle of our Fear and Worry series, I have to admit that I was immediately questioning if we were the right people for the job. If I'm being completely honest, we definitely do not have fear and worry on lockdown, and we have not always done a great job handling our fear and worry in a biblical way, especially over this past year. In the days following my diagnosis, we spent a lot of time seriously wrestling with the very real possibility of my death. We knew one thing straight away. No matter how this would play out, I would be going to heaven. Victory over cancer was a real need, but my greatest need had already been met through the death and resurrection of Jesus. He forgave me of my sins and had the ultimate victory over death, so my eternal destiny would be secure, no matter what. Also, my days had already been numbered by God since before I was even born, according to Psalm 139. And that fact really helped me put into perspective God's perfect control over the timeline of my life.
We also spent a lot of time thinking about Job's circumstances. God was so gracious to allow us insight into his suffering and how his suffering came about, but also how God gave a clear goal to why he allowed this suffering. He wants his own glory to shine through during sufferings and for us to be sanctified. Also, with rehearsing biblical principles and truth, we spent the first several weeks fighting against worry with thankfulness. It's been amazing to see how God has used this time to show us just how big he is and how he so completely cared for every need and so far beyond that. We filled pages of our notebook with all the ways we saw God care for us, mostly through our church family. The times we spent remembering how God had loved us and thanking him were easily the most calm and peaceful times I can remember through this whole season. God doesn't leave us wondering about his love and care for us if we are willing to take a moment to notice him in our circumstances.
I believe that thinking through these truths as we entered this new cancer battle gave us the victory through God before any treatments even began. I realized early on that I could either get on board with what God was doing, or I could get dragged through this thing kicking and screaming. I didn't think the latter option sounded that appealing, nor would it bring God the glory or put his power on display. So I made the conscious decision to allow God to use this time to sanctify and refine me more into the image of his Son. Even still, I think I probably cried out to God asking why at least 47 times a day. I'm so thankful that for each of the whys, there was an answer, a truth, a principle, a theology, or a psalm that spoke directly to our question at that time. God and his word never failed us.
We've had many reasons to shout God's goodness in the past weeks. Becky's last couple treatments have gone very smoothly with very few negative side effects. Our doctor made the comment during our last visit that he has never seen one of his patients come through a full year of chemo and look so good. Becky quickly told the doctor of God's grace and blessing, which made that the case. The doctor replied, "You are so strong and you have done the work." But Becky replied, "Thank you. It's all because of God's grace that this is the case." And it was exciting and kind of the doctor to say, but I am so thankful for a wife who is unwilling to take the credit for winning a battle that could not be won apart from God.
I've found the Psalms to be a huge comfort during this time. You see such a transparency, a realness in the way the psalmists express themselves and talk to God about their circumstances, which was so refreshing. It reminded me that, one, there's nothing new under the sun. We are not the first people to walk through hard things. And two, I'm not crazy. I felt like I was constantly going back and forth between anguish and lament and trusting and praising God for his faithfulness to us in the past. But that is the exact pattern we often see in the Psalms. The writer starts out in a dark place, unloads the burdens of his soul before the Lord, and then lands in a place of worship because God and his character do not change. That's exactly what people in trouble need: stability.
It is for God's glory that we have gone through this cancer season, and for his glory that we can now say Becky is one step closer to being cancer-free. But even if we were now telling you that Becky only had months to live and the cancer would take her to heaven soon, we would see this season as a victory in our lives. God grew us and refined us. He conformed us more to the image of Jesus Christ. He allowed our church family to bring fame to his name by loving and serving us so well. We've had opportunities to meditate on how God has been faithful to us, and we look forward to continuing our attempts to draw attention to his good character in the middle of our trials. We will see what our future holds, but either way, God will continue to reign victorious, and by his grace we will continue to be faithful representatives of our great and good God.